On November 24th, 1971, a Northwest Orient Airlines flight took off from Portland, America. It was a short 30-minute flight to the nearby city of Seattle. There were not many passengers on board, only 36 passengers and 6 crew members. However, none of them knew that a hijacker was on the flight. His name was D.B. Cooper. The hijacker looked like a normal businessman. He wore a business suit, white shirt, and black pants, and appeared to be in his mid-40s. He intentionally chose to sit in the last row, seat number 18E. As soon as the plane took off, he introduced himself to an air hostess named Florence Schaffner and handed her a note with a big smile. Schaffner, a 23-year-old woman, thought he was flirting with her, so she kept the note without reading it. Seeing this, Cooper told her she should read it, revealing that he had a bomb. When Schaffner read the note, it clearly said, "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase and I want you to sit by me." She quietly sat next to Cooper, but still could not believe he had a bomb. To prove it, Cooper opened his suitcase, revealing red cylinders, wires, and a large battery. There was no doubt, it looked like a bomb. Cooper then made his demands. He wanted $200,000 in cash by 5 p.m. that evening, along with 4 parachutes, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. He also demanded a fuel truck to be ready when the plane landed. He warned the air hostess not to try anything unusual or he would blow up the plane. The other passengers had no idea what was happening, and Schaffner did not want them to find out. She quietly went to the cockpit and showed Cooper's note to the pilots. Another air hostess, Tina Mucklow, was informed and sat next to Cooper to help manage the situation. With the 2 hostesses' help, the pilots maintained contact with Cooper while informing air traffic control. The news reached the airline president, Donald Nyrop, who decided to cooperate fully with Cooper's demands. He coordinated with the FBI and contacted a Seattle bank to arrange the cash. This emergency money had something special about it, which we'll discuss later. The president wanted to protect the airline's reputation and avoid worldwide news that could damage the company. The flight, originally just 30 minutes, had to circle around Seattle for 3 hours while the money was prepared. Passengers were unaware of the real reason and were told the delay was due to minor technical problems. Finally, the plane landed in Seattle. Cooper received the money and parachutes and allowed all passengers and crew members, except Tina, to leave the plane. The aircraft was refueled and took off again, now carrying only Cooper, Tina, and the pilots. Cooper instructed the pilots on the flight's speed, angle of wings, and destination. Mexico City at 10,000 feet with wings at 15 degrees. He even wanted the plane to fly as slowly as possible. The pilots warned that the plane did not have enough fuel to reach Mexico City, but Cooper insisted. Then, Cooper asked Tina to lock the cockpit door. He prepared his parachutes and jumped from the back of the plane using a special rear staircase. The pilots and hostesses did not see him jump, as the cockpit was locked and had no peepholes. Later, they noticed the plane tilt and had to stabilize it. The plane eventually landed in Reno, Nevada. Police searched the plane, but found no trace of Cooper. The only items recovered were a tie clip, and torn pieces of parachute used to cover the money bag. Investigators also found some cigarette butts Cooper had smoked.
This is D.B. Cooper's ticket in the name of Dan Cooper.
He needed a way to secure the money on his bag.
The bomb, money bag, and parachutes were all missing. Despite an extensive FBI investigation lasting 45 years, Cooper was never found, and the case was officially closed in 2016. Many questions remain unanswered, making it one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in FBI history. 2 interesting points stand out. First, no passengers were harmed, and none knew about the hijacking. Many credit Tina Mucklow, calling her the hero of the incident, because she kept Cooper calm and ensured no one panicked. The co-pilot later said she was so calm and collected. No one could have handled this better. Second, the name D.B. Cooper is actually a mistake. The hijacker's real name was Dan Cooper, but a reporter misheard it and reported it as D.B. Cooper. Other media outlets repeated the error, and the name stuck.
Daredevil thief called D.B. Cooper.
D.B. Cooper.
D.B. Cooper. D.B. Cooper.
Cooper.
This phenomenon is known in psychology as anchoring, a cognitive bias where people rely heavily on the first piece of information they hear. The mistake in Cooper's case wasn't a major one. Only the name was wrong. And anyway, no one expected a hijacker to use his real name. FBI's initial investigation showed that when Cooper jumped from the plane, he had tied the cash around his body. The money weighed around 10 kilograms. He used 2 parachutes, one strapped to the front and one to the back. Investigators also had a rough idea of the region where Cooper jumped, the southwest part of Washington state. The area was covered in pine forests, lakes, and canyons with wild animals like bears. In the early stages of the investigation, the FBI believed Cooper had almost no chance of surviving. He jumped from a height of 10,000 feet in complete darkness. It was around 8 p.m. The clothes he wore were not suitable for such a jump. A shirt and trousers in cold and rainy weather. There were heavy black clouds and strong winds. At 5,000 feet altitude, conditions would have been extremely dark. On top of that, the plane's estimated speed at the time of Cooper's jump was around 320 kilometers per hour. Members of the U.S. Parachute Association pointed out another serious risk: the freezing water below. In November, the water temperature in this region is extremely low. If Cooper had fallen into a lake, hypothermia would have set in within minutes, and the weight of the cash strapped to him would have made swimming nearly impossible. But despite all this, later events forced investigators to consider the possibility that Cooper might have survived. After Cooper's hijacking made national headlines, several copycat hijackers tried to use his exact method. At least 5 people attempted similar hijackings, and all of them survived their jumps. One of them was Martin McNally, who hijacked a plane on June 24, 1972. He demanded $500,000 and jumped from the plane using a parachute. In McNally's case, the plane was traveling at 400 to 500 kilometers per hour, almost twice the speed at which Cooper jumped. Yet McNally survived, using only a reserve parachute. In another case, hijacker Richard LaPointe jumped in January 1972 in snowy conditions, wearing clothes similar to Cooper's, and survived as well. Although these copycat hijackers were eventually caught, their successful jumps proved something important. If they could survive jumps under worse conditions, then perhaps Cooper could have survived too. There's also a clue from Tina Mucklow. When she handed Cooper the parachutes, she began reading the instructions aloud. Cooper told her he didn't need instructions. He already knew how to use parachutes. Since the FBI now believed Cooper might still be alive, their next task was to narrow down the landing zone. In fact, police had begun searching the forest the very next day, looking for a body, a parachute, or even a single $20 bill. And the money Cooper received had a special characteristic. All 10,000 of the $20 bills had their serial numbers recorded. The FBI distributed that list across the country, from banks to casinos, asking them to report any matching bills. But investigators faced a huge problem. The search area was enormous. There were many unknown factors: wind speed, visibility, the plane's exact location during the jump, the height at which Cooper deployed his parachute, and the direction he could have drifted. Based on the best available calculations, investigators estimated he might have landed near Lake Merwin in Washington. To test this, they conducted an experiment using the same aircraft model. They pushed a 91 kilograms sled down the rear stairs mid-flight. Using the sled's landing location, they tried to predict Cooper's potential landing zone. This led to massive door-to-door searches. Police visited local farmhouses and questioned residents. Both scanned Lake Merwin and Lake Yale. A private company even used a submarine to search 200 feet underwater. But nothing was found. Not the money, not the parachutes, not a body. Eventually, investigators published the serial numbers in local newspapers and announced a $1,000 reward to anyone who found a bill from the list. The offer ran for 3 years, yet not a single bill turned up. Then came 1979, 8 years after the hijack. Suddenly, a new clue emerged. A pilot named Tom Bohan, flying for Continental Airlines, contacted the FBI. On the night of the hijacking, Tom was flying another aircraft 4 minutes behind Cooper's plane and 4,000 feet higher. Tom remembered a violent storm that night, one of the worst he had ever seen. He believed the FBI's calculations for the drop zone were off by nearly 80 degrees. According to him, Cooper likely landed near the Washougal River drainage area. A few months later, Tom's theory proved shockingly accurate. An 8-year-old boy playing on the banks of the Columbia River found several bundles of $20 bills, still held together by rubber bands. When the serial numbers were checked, they were confirmed to be the exact bills given to Cooper. A total of $5,800 was recovered. The location matched Tom's theory. The bills were found downstream of the Washougal River. Despite renewed searches, no further evidence, no parachute pieces, no body was ever discovered. FBI agent Richard Tosaw believed Cooper may have drowned in the cold river that night. Interestingly, the young boy who found the money was allowed to keep a portion as a reward. In 2008, as an adult, he sold 15 of the bills at an online auction for $37,000. Proof of how legendary the Cooper case had become.